the impossible patient emergency medical bay of the Interstellar Research Station. Horizon 7 hummed with urgent activity as Dr. Kira Vex rushed through the sterile corridors. Her silvery blue skin glistened under the harsh fluorescent lights, and her elongated fingers danced across the holographic medical scanner attached to her wrist. The Zephyrian physician had seen countless medical emergencies during her tenure at the Joint Human-Alien Research Facility, but nothing had prepared her for the reading she was witnessing now. "Status report," she commanded in her melodic accent as she burst through the medical bay doors. Her assistant, a young Zephyrian named Nix, looked up from the monitoring equipment with confusion written across his angular features. "Doctor, we have an unconscious human male, approximately 30 years old. He was found floating in the debris field of the merchant vessel Starlight. According to our scanners, he should have died from exposure to the vacuum of space over 48 hours ago," Nix reported, his voice trembling with uncertainty. Kira approached the examination table where the human lay motionless. Captain Jake Morrison wore a tattered space suit, its life support systems long since depleted. His dark hair was matted against his forehead, and several days' worth of stubble covered his strong jawline. Despite the circumstances, there was something undeniably attractive about the human that made Kira's dual hearts skip a beat. She activated her medical scanner and ran it over his body. The readings were impossible. His cellular structure showed signs of adaptation to vacuum exposure. His lung tissue had somehow maintained integrity despite decompression, and his brain activity remained normal despite being deprived of oxygen for an extended period. "These readings are impossible," Kira whispered, her large violet eyes widening in disbelief. "No known species can survive in space without life support for this duration." As if responding to her voice, Jake's eyes fluttered open. They were a striking green color that seemed to pierce through Kira's professional composure. He attempted to sit up, but she gently pressed him back down with her cool touch. "Easy there," she said softly. "You've been through quite an ordeal. I'm Dr. Kira Vex, Chief Medical Officer of this station. Can you tell me your name?" "Jake. Jake Morrison," he replied, his voice hoarse but surprisingly strong. "What happened to my ship? My crew?" Kira's expression grew somber. "I'm sorry, Captain. The Starlight was destroyed in what appears to have been a pirate attack. You were the only survivor we found." Jake's face contorted with grief, but there was something else in his expression, a flicker of memory that seemed to disturb him. "I remember the attack. I remember being thrown into space when the hull breached. But after that," he looked directly into Kira's eyes. "Doctor, how long was I out there?" "According to our calculations, approximately 51 hours, Kira replied, studying his reaction carefully. "Captain Morrison, I need you to understand something. What you survived is medically impossible. No human should be able to survive vacuum exposure for more than a few minutes, let alone 2 days." Jake sat up slowly, ignoring her gentle protests. "Then how am I alive?" "That's what I intend to find out," Kira said, her scientific curiosity overriding her bedside manner. "With your permission, I'd like to run some extensive tests. There's something unique about your physiology that defies everything we know about human biology." As Jake nodded his agreement, Kira couldn't help but notice how his eyes seemed to hold depths that went beyond a normal human perception. There was an intelligence there, combined with a warmth that made her feel things she'd never experienced with any patient before. Forbidden attraction. Over the next 3 days, Kira found herself spending every available moment studying Jake's remarkable condition. The medical bay had become her second home as she ran test after test, each result more baffling than the last. Jake's cellular regeneration rate was off the charts. His immune system showed signs of enhancement beyond human norms, and most mysteriously, his DNA contained sequences that didn't match any known human genetic markers. "Your blood work is fascinating," Kira said, reviewing the latest results on her holographic display. Jake sat on the edge of the examination table, now wearing standard station medical garments that highlighted his impressive physique. "These protein chains suggest adaptation at a molecular level." Jake watched her work with growing admiration. Despite her alien features, the luminescent blue skin, the graceful elongated limbs, and those mesmerizing violet eyes, he found himself increasingly drawn to her. Her passion for medicine and her genuine concern for his well-being touched something deep within him. "Doctor," he said, causing her to look up from her work, "Kira, I want to thank you for everything you've done. Most physicians would have written me off as an anomaly and moved on." She felt a warmth spread through her chest at his use of her first name. Most physicians haven't encountered a patient who defies the fundamental laws of biology. She replied with a small smile, "You're extraordinary, Jake." Their eyes met and held, the air between them charged with an undeniable tension. Kira felt her professional objectivity slipping away, replaced by something far more personal and dangerous. Relationships between different species were not forbidden, but they were heavily discouraged by both human and Zephyrian authorities. "I should continue the tests," she said softly, but neither of them moved. "Kira," Jake said, reaching out to gently touch her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, with an almost ethereal quality. "I know this is complicated, but I can't ignore what I'm feeling." She looked down at their joined hands, her dual hearts racing. "Jake, we barely know each other. You've been through trauma, and I'm your physician. This isn't appropriate." "Maybe not," he agreed, "but when you've faced death and somehow survived the impossible, inappropriate seems like a small concern." Before she could respond, the medical bay doors slid open with a sharp hiss. Commander Theron Blake, the station's human security chief, entered with 2 armed guards. His expression was grim and suspicious. "Captain Morrison," Blake said in a cold tone, "I'm afraid I need you to come with me for questioning." Jake stood slowly, his posture becoming defensive. "Questioning about what?" "About how you really survived that attack," Blake replied. "Because according to our investigation, the Starlight wasn't destroyed by pirates. It was destroyed by an unknown energy weapon. A weapon that left traces of technology we've never seen before." Kira stepped between them, her violet eyes flashing with protective anger. "Commander Blake, this man is my patient. He's been unconscious for days and is still recovering." "Dr. Vex," Blake said formally, "with all due respect, this man may not be what he appears to be. The energy signatures found at the wreckage site suggest involvement with an unidentified alien technology. We need answers." Jake felt a chill run down his spine as fragmented memories began to surface, images of strange lights, voices speaking in languages he somehow understood, and a presence that had touched his mind in the depths of space. "I'll go with you," Jake said quietly, seeing the concern in Kira's eyes. "But I want Dr. Vex present during any questioning." Blake nodded reluctantly. "Very well, but doctor, I should warn you, your patient may be far more dangerous than either of you realize." Hidden Memoria's interrogation room was stark and clinical, with reinforced walls and monitoring equipment that hummed quietly in the background. Jake sat across from Commander Blake while Kira remained standing nearby, her medical scanner, discreetly monitoring Jake's vital signs. She had insisted on being present, claiming medical necessity, but the truth was she couldn't bear to leave his side. "Let's start from the beginning, Captain Morrison," Blake said, activating a recording device. "Tell me about the attack on your vessel." Jake closed his eyes, trying to piece together the fragmented memories. "We were 3 days out from the Kepler station, carrying agricultural supplies to the outer colonies. The attack came without warning. No ship signatures, no demands for surrender, just energy beams that tore through our hull like paper." "Energy beams from what?" Blake pressed. "Our analysis shows the weapon signatures don't match any known technology, human, Zephyrian, or any other documented species." As Jake concentrated, flashes of memory began to surface more clearly. "There was light, brilliant white light that seemed to surround me as I was blown into space. And voices," Kira asked, her scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "Not voices exactly," Jake said, his brow furrowing in concentration. "More like thoughts that weren't my own. They were studying me, learning from me." Blake leaned forward intently. "Who was studying you, Captain?" Suddenly, Jake's eyes snapped open. But they weren't the same green color Kira had grown accustomed to. They glowed with an inner light that pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. The medical scanner in Kira's hand began beeping rapidly as his vital signs spiked. They called themselves the Eternals, Jake said, his voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. An ancient race that exists between dimensions. They've been watching our species, both human and Zephyrian, for centuries. Jake, Kira said, softly, approaching him with concern. Your neural activity is off the charts. You need to calm down. But Jake continued as if he hadn't heard her. They chose me as a bridge between worlds. My survival wasn't an accident. It was an experiment. They want to understand what happens when two species begin to form bonds that transcend their biological limitations. Blake's hand moved to his sidearm. What kind of bonds? Jake's glowing eyes focused on Kira with startling clarity. The kind that makes a Zephyrian physician risk her career to protect a human patient. The kind that makes two beings from different worlds recognize something in each other that their own species cannot provide. Kira felt her breath catch as the implications of his words sank in. They've been manipulating us, not manipulating, Jake said, the glow in his eyes beginning to fade, observing. The connection we feel, it's real, Kira. But they wanted to see how we would handle it under pressure. Blake stood abruptly. This is exactly what I was afraid of. You're some kind of alien agent, aren't you? No, Jake said firmly, his eyes returning to their normal green. I'm still human, Commander, but I'm also something more now. The Eternals gave me the ability to survive in space, enhanced my healing, and opened my mind to possibilities beyond our current understanding. And in return, Blake demanded. Jake looked directly at Kira. In return, I'm supposed to help bridge the gap between our species, starting with the most powerful connection of all, which is, Kira whispered, though she already knew the answer, love, Jake said simply. The Eternals believe that emotional bonds between species are the key to galactic evolution. They've been waiting for the right test subjects. Blake's expression grew dark. So this entire relationship is some kind of cosmic experiment. The relationship is real. Jake insisted, standing to face him. The feelings are real. The Eternals didn't create what Kira and I feel for each other. They simply recognized it and gave us the opportunity to explore it. Kira stared at Jake, her mind reeling. Everything she thought she knew about their connection was being reframed. But the emotion she felt remained unchanged. If anything, understanding the cosmic significance of their bond made it feel even more precious. The choicest revelation about the Eternals sent shockwaves through the command structure of Horizon 7. Within hours, representatives from both the human colonial authority and the Zephyrian Council were demanding answers. Jake found himself confined to quarters under guard, while Kira was temporarily relieved of her medical duties pending a full investigation. In the privacy of her personal quarters, Kira stared out at the swirling nebula beyond the station's viewports. Her reflection in the transparent aluminum showed a woman conflicted between duty and desire, science and emotion. The door chimed softly, and she turned to see Commander Blake entering with a grim expression. Dr. Vex, he said formally, I'm afraid I have some difficult news. The Joint Council has decided that Captain Morrison represents a potential security threat. He's to be transferred to a maximum security facility for extended study. Extended study? Kira's violet eyes flashed with anger. You mean imprisonment and experimentation? I mean protecting both our species from an unknown alien influence. Blake replied, you of all people should understand the scientific value of learning about his enhancements. Kira felt a chill run through her. And what of my involvement in this situation? You're to be reassigned to a research facility on Zephyr Prime, far from any potential influence Captain Morrison might have on you, Blake said. The Council believes your attachment to him has compromised your judgment. Before Kira could respond, the station's alarm system began blaring. Emergency lights bathed the corridors in red as Blake's communicator crackled to life. Commander, we have a situation in detention level 5. The prisoner has somehow breached containment. Blake's face went pale. How is that possible? Those cells are designed to hold the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy. Kira was already moving toward the door. Because Jake isn't a criminal, and the Eternals gave him abilities we don't fully understand. They rushed through the corridors together, joining a stream of security personnel converging on the detention level. When they arrived, they found Jake standing calmly in the center of the security checkpoint, surrounded by guards with weapons drawn. The cell door behind him hung open, its locking mechanism apparently dissolved at the molecular level. "Stand down," Blake ordered his men as he approached. "Captain Morrison, I strongly advise you to surrender peacefully." Jake's eyes held that otherworldly glow again, but his expression remained calm. "Commander, I didn't escape to harm anyone. I escaped because the Eternals have given me a message that both our species need to hear." "And what message is that?" Kira asked, stepping forward despite Blake's restraining gesture. "A choice," Jake said, his gaze focusing on her with intense clarity. "The Eternals have been observing thousands of species across the galaxy. They've seen civilizations rise and fall, watched as fear and prejudice destroyed potential alliances that could have elevated entire star systems." He gestured to the mixed crowd of humans and Zephyrians around them. "Our species are at a crossroads. We can continue down the path of cautious cooperation, maintaining our boundaries and limiting our potential, or we can take the next evolutionary step, true integration, not just of our technologies and governments, but of our hearts and minds." "And you think a romantic relationship between a human and a Zephyrian is going to accomplish that?" Blake asked skeptically. "Not just any relationship," Jake replied. "One that demonstrates what's possible when we stop seeing each other as alien and start seeing each other as simply other halves of a greater whole." Kira felt tears forming in her eyes, a physiological response her species shared with humans despite their other differences. "Jake, what are you asking of me?" He extended his hand toward her, the same gesture that had started their connection days ago. "I'm asking you to choose, Kira. Choose fear and separation, or choose love and possibility. Choose the safety of what you know, or the adventure of what we could become together." The corridor fell silent except for the hum of the station's life support systems. Every eye was on Kira as she stared at Jake's outstretched hand. She could feel the weight of history in this moment, the sense that whatever decision she made would ripple across both their civilizations. Blake stepped forward. "Dr. Vex, I urge you to consider the implications. Your career, your standing with your own people, will mean nothing if I let fear dictate my choices." Kira said quietly. She looked around at the faces surrounding them, human and Zephyrian alike, all watching to see what she would do. With a deep breath, she reached out and took Jake's hand. A new beginning. The moment Kira's hand touched Jake's, a wave of energy pulsed through the corridor. Every person present, human and Zephyrian alike, felt a sudden expansion of consciousness, a brief but profound understanding of the other species' perspective. It lasted only seconds, but the effect was transformative. Commander Blake staggered, his weapon lowering as his eyes widened with new comprehension. I felt what it was like to be Zephyrian. The way you process emotions through multiple heart chambers, the way your enhanced senses perceive the universe." A Zephyrian security officer nearby nodded in amazement. "And I experienced human determination, that incredible single-minded focus that drives your species to achieve the impossible." Jake and Kira stood together, their joined hands glowing with residual energy from the eternal technology within him. The connection between them had become a conduit for understanding that extended beyond their personal relationship. "This is what the Eternals wanted to show us," Jake said, his voice carrying both human warmth and otherworldly wisdom. "Not that our species should become identical, but that our differences make us stronger when combined." Dr. Nix, Kira's assistant, approached them with tears streaming down his face. "The research applications alone, if we could maintain this level of empathic connection, imagine the advances in medicine, in psychology, in every field of study." "It's not about maintaining it artificially," Kira said, understanding flowing through her enhanced consciousness. "It's about choosing to build it naturally, one relationship at a time." Commander Blake slowly holstered his weapon. I need to contact both councils immediately. This changes everything." Over the following weeks, Jake and Kira became the focus of intense but respectful study. Rather than being separated, they were asked to work together, documenting their unique bond and its effects on those around. Them. The brief moment of shared consciousness in the detention corridor had been experienced by dozens of witnesses, creating an undeniable foundation for a new understanding between species. Their personal relationship deepened as well. The cosmic significance of their bond didn't diminish the simple, powerful emotions they felt for each other. If anything, knowing that their love represented hope for both their civilizations made every moment together more precious. Do you ever regret it? Kira asked one evening as they stood together on the observation deck, watching ships from both human and Zephyrian fleets working in unprecedented cooperation. Being chosen by the Eternals, I mean, having your life changed so dramatically? Jake's arm tightened around her waist, marveling at how perfectly she fit against his side despite their physiological differences. How could I regret something that brought me to you? She tilted her head to look up at him, her violet eyes sparkling with affection. Even if it means we'll always be studied, always be an example for others, especially because of that, he said, leaning down to kiss her forehead. Our love isn't just ours anymore, Kira. It belongs to every human and Zephyrian who dreams of connection beyond the boundaries of species. 6 months later, they stood before a joint council of both civilizations, presenting their final report on the integration process. Their relationship had become the cornerstone of a new diplomatic initiative, with mixed crews serving on ships throughout the galaxy, and cultural exchange programs flourishing on both sides. The Eternals gave us a gift, Jake concluded his presentation. Not the gift of enhanced abilities or cosmic knowledge, but the gift of choice. The choice to see beyond our differences and embrace our shared potential. Kira stepped forward. As a scientist, I've spent my career studying the mechanics of life. But through my bond with Jake, I've learned that some of the most important discoveries can't be measured in a laboratory. They can only be felt in the heart, later. As they walked through the garden sections of the expanded station, now a symbol of interspecies cooperation, Jake stopped and turned to face Kira. I have something to ask you, he said, his voice nervous for the first time since his transformation. In human culture, when two people decide to commit their lives to each other, there's a tradition. He knelt down on one knee, producing a small device that projected a holographic ring incorporating both human and Zephyrian design elements. Kira Vex, will you marry me? Will you help me prove that love really can transcend any boundary? Tears flowed freely down her luminescent cheeks as she nodded. Yes, Jake Morrison, in any language, in any culture, across any distance of space or time. Yes. As they embraced, the garden around them seemed to glow with approval. And somewhere in the space between dimensions, ancient beings who had waited eons for this moment smiled. With cosmic satisfaction, their love story became legend, not because it was perfect, but because it was possible, and in proving it was possible, they opened the door for countless others to follow in their footsteps, creating a galaxy where the phrase star-crossed lovers took on an entirely new and hopeful meaning.